How does it feel that you were like the original motion capture technique?
Motion capture is a whole lot different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had to perform for all this.
Well, because I didn't know the difference. It was a whole new experience. So it was doing the voice work, recording. Then after the recording was finished, then a couple of weeks later, then you did the live action. That was like doing the film. So it was filmed on a set with the lights and all of that. The difference was there were hardly any props. There was no stage. It was just very, very plain, a few boxes where you had to imagine what you were doing, what you were stepping over a brook or doing something like that. So that's how they got to see my movements, and then they could watch it and then do the drawing. So that's basically what we did for the live action.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What is it like for your relatives to go back and watch it now and then see your mannerisms being animated?
Well, at this point in my life, a lot of the relatives are no longer with us. So, yes, go ahead.
Kathy was an educator for a number of years, and you had a few students who spotted you.
Oh, yes.
From time to time.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, it's always, walking into a shop or a place, and then there's this young girl or young lady who comes and says, "Oh, Miss Beaumont, you were my teacher in 5th grade." And of course, we'd have a lovely conversation, and she would also remember my past. She would know.
The students, you've had a few little students who would come along and little shy young lads who might be not sure. They would see the film and then.
Yeah, there was one in particular. It was a little boy. It was around Easter, and he was hanging around the door at the end of the day. And I thought, well, this isn't a kid who was hoping to help. Usually they hang around because they want to help. So I said, oh, I can't remember his name now, but anyway, did you want to help with something? I can show you. Well, he's standing there like this, and he says, well, did you do Alice? Are you the voice in Alice? I saw Alice yesterday, Alice in Wonderland. And of course, I had to tell him. And that was the end. He couldn't handle it anymore. He just turned around and bolted out the door of the schoolroom. However, he came back the next day, everything was fine. He came into the classroom. It was close to Easter, and he had brought a little furry rabbit as a little gift.
Oh,
I thought, wow, this obviously was all his own thinking, so that was very precious. So what I'm saying is that I have a lot of very precious memories of my work in the classroom and my work for Disney.
Was the work you did on Peter Pan, did it kind of overlap at all with Alice? Or?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because with Alice, there were several years involved. So I was, 10, and then we were working on the voice work through probably close to 14 years old. Then that was all finished. They were doing the actual animation and that part of it, but my part of all of that, the recording and stuff, was over, but they were already starting the story for Peter Pan. So when they started that story, then I started doing the recordings for that. So the sequence was really a lengthy period.
Yeah.
What was it like to go back and do the role over again 30 years later for Rides and then for Fantasmic?
I know. That was very exciting because I thought, after all these years, it's not going to work. And I even said, well, yes, but I've got an adult voice now. Would you just raise your voice a little bit? Yes, but even if I raise my voice a little bit, it's still not going to work. Oh, let's try it and see. All right, I shall go and do that. So I went to the studio and we recorded, and they were very happy with it, and they said, I want you to also do another ride. So there was an Alice thing, and then there was a Peter Pan ride. So it went from one to another. So that was wonderful. That was lovely it's nostalgic. And, it feels so wonderful to still be part of it, as, my life has totally changed. So it was lovely to be able to go back to that age.
I had
Good.
I had the privilege of speaking with Peter and Donnie, voices of Bambi and Thumper, when they had their anniversary, and pretty much wanted to ask you the same thing, which was basically, with the new media, in this case Blu-ray, digital, how does that sit with you to know that it's going to be forever immortalized
Well, how
in
wonderful
humanity?
it is.
So as long as we
That-
don't kill ourselves, of course,
I know.
it's going to
We
keep
don't know
on.
what technology is going to bring us, but each new thing that they come up with improves and changes, and fine. I mean, that's part of what technology is all about, and the fact that they're still showing it and putting it in a new media is wonderful. So I'm very happy about it.
How did you work? How did you work cast?
How did I what?
Cast.
Oh, how was I cast? I was over at MGM Studios, and Disney was looking for an English voice, and I was asked to go and read. Then I was asked to go back again, and then a third time. I was under contract to MGM. The contract was coming due, but at that point, Walt wanted to have me as Alice. So they then negotiated with the studio, with MGM, who let the contract go because it was an option time. So it worked out okay. So I just let it drop, and then Disney took it over. They had their contract worked out, so I could start working on Alice. Yeah, so that's how that evolved.
What was your involvement with the Tinkerbell?
Oh my gosh. Yes. How did you know about the Tinkerbell thing?
Well, some of us watch the special features, but I understand that you were involved with the Tinkerbell, which I'm actually curious, is because they pushed the Wendy thing on you.
Well,
tremendously.
she certainly was Wendy,
Yes.
that was her primary role, but Tinkerbell had not been embodied before, certainly in the play, it was a
Right.
flash of light.
Just a flash of light.
So Walt had started developing Peter Pan in 1935-ish, around that time period, and one of the things that needed to be fleshed out with this story was, how do we portray Tinkerbell? And so there's about 13 to 15 years of exploration into her as a redhead and a brunette, and over the course of that time, fashions change, hairstyles change, and so in bringing the film up in the 1950s, Mark Davis was working through all the earlier pieces of artwork, and there are many, the development pieces of artwork, and he took bits and pieces, and he found a young inker and painter at the studio. Her name was Ginny Mack, who was the original model for Tinkerbell. She wore her hair in a little blonde bun and had bangs off to the side, and there are a couple of photographs of her that modeling, but they needed to figure out then, how is this little character going to move, so that she's now not just a flash of light, but a fully embodied being. And so Mark designed her to be a little girl from the waist up and a woman from the waist down. She's a complex blend of emotion and attitudes, and so this crazy combination of little girl and woman was a key part to that. So Kathy was on contract at the time, certainly working on Wendy, and about that age.
Yes.
So they had her come in and do some of
Yeah,
the
they just
reference
had
work.
me do a few live action scenes in just the basic stage there, just to see the movements.
You worked with the large scissor props. And
Yes, it's various different things. I don't really remember a whole lot about
scene
it.
in the
but
drawer where Tink was stuck in the drawer, I think.
I'm not sure that I was in that part. Maybe I was. I don't know now. But I know that they were looking, they couldn't decide quite how they wanted to picture Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
And so they thought, well,
Movements.
she's a little girl, but she's not. They didn't want to be a sexy sort of person.
Vixen, yeah.
Yeah, Vixen
She's
type.
a troublemaker.
But
She's
she
a
was,
little-
pixie, and she was
Yeah.
full of vim and vigor.
So this class, she's a pantomime character,
Yeah.
so the physicality of her was
Yes, was
important.
important.
So not only Ginny as a physical reference,
Yeah.
but then Kathy and
And then Elaine
Stanley,
Stanley, and then,
who did a number of things.
Yes.
And there were a couple of other ladies, and then also Margaret Carey.
well, they were searching,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what they wanted to do with this Tinkerbell character.
So she's part of this incredibly complex blend to define the smallest character in the Disney canon at that point, who then went on to embody all of the magic and wonder and pixie dust of the company. So you can see the time and care that Walt put into her and Kathy's contribution that nobody knew about. She didn't talk about it at all. We happened to be having lunch while I was researching my book, and she just mentioned, well, you know, I did a little bit for that. Nobody knew this.
Well, your secret's safe in this room.
You're involved in two of the most iconic Disney movies, animated features. You know, is it surreal at this point that X years later, you know, it's still being remembered, it's revered, and now it's for the world to continue to watch
Well, I
3-4
think
generations later?
stories are so timeless, and the fact that they've just survived all these years and continue to go is just a blessing. It's just wonderful.